Hi, this is Oliver. Very good day to all of you. Just a very quick introduction of myself. I've been baking for 15 years at home. I'm what we call a home baker, and my specialization is sourdough. All kinds of sourdough. I know I've been playing with Italian, French, the German breads, and some of the most popular ones. Actually, the most popular bread that I conduct classes very often is the sourdough. All right, and one of those, the interesting about sourdough is that it is being perceived as being healthier because of we are using natural levain to do it. Now here's the challenge. In the last 15 years, when I teach, usually a class of about 5, I keep it small, 5, maybe 10, and usually about 10-20% of them will eventually end up baking. And the reason is this: the levain that they have to maintain, they find very troublesome. And the length of time to ferment the sourdough becomes a chore for them. I mean, most of my baking is done in Singapore. And you know, in Singapore, we are the country we sleep the least in the world because of our work and all those schedules. So time is a issue when it comes to sourdough, but they like the bread. So it was only about 6-7 months ago that I came across Biocreations. They have been importing something called a sourdough powder. Now, I didn't know what it was because I didn't know it existed. I have no idea it existed. That's why I've been teaching using levain. Levain, you got to, it's actually a liquid sourdough, liquid mother dough. You got to feed it on a weekly basis. And when you use it, then you got to feed it again. And if you don't bake for weeks, the thing will spoil. You got to keep feeding it and you got to keep throwing it. So it's very troublesome. But what the sour powder that Biocreation bring in, it's very unique. It comes in a variety of level of sourness, fragrance, and flavor, including flavor. The complexity is very good. The good news is this: you can switch to any level of sour depending on what you want to use, on the kind of sour you want. We have a whole range. We even have sours that smells orangey. For the panettone and all this, you want to do the traditional German sourdough. We have the one that's nausea, the trizone, which is very, very sour. And then we have the mild one, like the pane, which is for white bread. And I found that it is much, much easier to manage the sour and the variety. Okay, if in the traditional way of making sourdough, if I want a different sour, I got to ferment it for another extra 6 hours. 6 hours less, 6 hours more, 12 hours more, 2 times. Not many people will be able to deal with this kind of baking. So this sour is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And this is like some of the examples of this. Like this is panettone. It's orangey, it smells orangey. All right, and citrusy, and all you need to add it in and your panettone becomes fantastic. You don't have to be a professional, you can do it at home just by putting this in. And the time required to ferment it has shortened from 24 hours to a short 1 to 2 hours, depending on the type of recipe. And that's a huge difference for Singaporeans. All right, so that's what I wanted to tell you about the Biocreations sour powder. And that's a huge advantage as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so that's the beauty of sourdough, and I will see you in the next few sessions of demonstration. I will start it off with panettone today. I'll see you then. Hi, good day everybody. This is Oliver again from Biocreations. We are going to demonstrate a few bread sours this time. Also imported by Biocreations. What we're going to do is we're going to do soft fruited breads. Okay, we're going to use a Japanese Hokkaido recipe. We're going to put in breads, what you call dried fruits inside there. Okay, so the first one is actually a cranberry bread. Very fragrant, very orangey, but you don't have to put in all those funny fruits inside there, only cranberries itself. So the first thing I need to do is to prepare about 340 grams of what we call milk, fresh milk. Please use fresh milk. Please don't use skim milk or whatever milk, just use fresh milk, okay, full cream milk. And before I did that, yesterday, 12 hours ago, I did something called a udon, okay. 120 grams of bread flour with 120 grams of boiling water. I mix it up and I put it into a ball and I put it inside there where? I put inside the fridge for 12 hours. This is very important to keep the dough soft, all right? So this is the first thing I need to do. So I got 340 grams of whole milk, and I'm going to put in an egg. Now your egg, try and buy the 60 gram egg with the shell on. When you crack in, it's about 55 grams. That will be the correct amount, right? Then after that, we have German bread flour. Okay, this is the German bread flour that we use. It's the 12% German bread flour, 12%, all right? 12% protein, 12% protein. Don't use the one with the 10% protein. How much? 500 grams. All you need to do, I already weigh 500 grams. All you need to do is dump it in. There's no need to sieve it. There's no need to do anything. Just dump it in, all right? That's it. All right? And of course, we have our famous angel yeast. This is angel yeast. Right, there it is. That's angel yeast. What I like about this yeast is that it's designed for consumers to use and it's vacuum packed. You know, a lot of yeast when they don't vacuum pack it, by the time you bring home, it's already half dead. You know? So this is guaranteed to be alive. It's called angel yeast. And how much do we put in? We put in 10 grams inside there. Yes, 10 grams. I'm going to use a weighing scale here. I'm going to set to 0. And I'm going to dump in, this is about 11 grams a packet, so I'm going to dump in 10 grams, right? 1 extra gram, not much of an issue, right? Okay, that's about everything. We're going to put about 11 grams inside there. Okay, angel yeast. And the next thing we need to do is to put in something called a bread improver. This is called a bread improver. It's called the Domino Verde. This one contains natural enzymes and vitamin C. They call it I-ascorbic acid, which is vitamin C. The vitamin C will prevent the gluten from oxidizing, and that softens the bread pretty good. So how much do I put in? And it says here 10 grams. If you're designing your own bread at home, how much of this you put, how much of the improver you put in together with the yeast, you follow the grammage of the yeast, you'll be all right. Okay, that's a very basic follow through. So it's about 10 grams also. Yep, that's 10 grams of bread improver. It helps to give a better volume to the bread, right? And what's next? Next is called, this I've got to introduce. This is my personal favorite. It's called panettone. Okay, panettone, right? My personal favorite. If you open it up and you put near your nose and you smell it, it smells like a bag of orange and lemon all mixed together, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put how much? I'm going to put 25 grams of this. It is a bread sour with a very orangey flavor. Okay, 25 grams of this inside. That's 25 grams. Okay, and not to forget your 12 grams of salt at the side. Remember, always put it at the side. 12 grams of salt, put it at the side of the flour. Don't dump it in the middle because you do not want it to go onto the yeast itself, right? And then after that, we have milk powder. How much milk powder? 10 grams of milk powder. The milk powder actually adds a very good texture and fragrance to this particular recipe itself. And of course, we have 60 grams of sugar and 50 grams of butter. Now, remember, anything above 50 grams, whether it's sugar or butter, we use what we call the delayed method. That means we knead it first. Once we form the dough, then we dump it in slowly. And the objective is not to let it, to prevent from interfering with the gluten production, right? Okay, let's do this. Do you remember this? My udon? I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to throw it in, all right? This is the reason why some bread stays moist for a very long time. It's called the udon method. It's Japanese. The Chinese invented it. It's called tangzhong. And then the Japanese improved it as usual. They will copy and improve it. And it's now a very popular one. It's called udon. As usual, first 3 minutes on slow. All right. Let everything mix up first, then you go fast. If you go on fast speed, your whole face will have powder, okay? And you're not going to need any foundation for your makeup after that. Okay, so let it go through. If you're looking at this dough right now, it's pretty powdery. It's not mixed up yet. Let it mix for a while. I have also soaked 100 grams of cranberry in water for about an hour or so, half an hour, 1 hour. And why do we soak it? So that later when you throw it inside there, it doesn't absorb the water from the dough. Okay, you will contribute. And I have it drip dry. Why? Because I do not want to change the recipe of your dough. So let it drip dry, and then we dump in it later. So now you can, if you can see, the dough is already formed into one lump, and that's when the sugar goes in first. A little bit at a time. Okay? A little bit at a time. You can say half a teaspoon at a time, half a tablespoon at a time. Remember, the objective is to make sure that the gluten forms. If you dump everything in, your kneading time will double. And the more you knead, the more the gluten oxidizes. Remember that. One last thing to go, the butter. One last thing to go, the butter, before this thing goes in. This one can only go in after the gluten has been formed, alright? Okay, so now that the sugar has gone in, I'm going to increase the speed to number 2 to let the gluten form a bit better, a bit more before my butter goes in. Because butter in more than 50 grams really disturb. 50 grams to 500 grams of flour, it really disturbs the production or formation of the gluten. It becomes a bit troublesome. You can still knead, but a bit more troublesome. Alright. Okay, if you see this dough, it is ready for you to dump in the butter already. So I slow it down again. I will dump in the butter one piece at a time. It's 50 grams of butter, 50 grams, yes. The butter, do not put in when it's too soft. Okay, a little bit cold, kneadable level, about room temperature. Once you see that the butter has gone in and it's not sticking to the wall, you can put in the next piece of butter and so forth. We'll leave it for a while. It's beginning to come off the wall. That's when the cranberry you can start putting in the cranberry already, right? Okay, you don't have to wait until it's totally formed, you know. Okay, so what we do is going to put in some cranberry. Before that, let's lower to number 2. A little bit at a time. While you're doing that, you're looking at the dough. You're looking at the dough. Make sure that there's not too much water going in and damaging the gluten itself. So the cranberry is going in a tablespoon at a time. Okay, everything's in. Now, you let the gluten form. Okay, some of the color of the cranberry will go into the dough, giving the dough a darker orangey tinge, and that's what we're looking for. All right, take a look at this. It's very nice. Let me unhook this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take it out, put it on a separate container to put it inside this prover over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out, spray a little bit of oil. You can put butter and all this kind of thing. I got a bit lazy, so I just spray it a little bit like this. Okay, put it aside. Take some flour so that you can actually shape it. Put some flour over here. All right, let's remove this dough. Okay, let's get this thing out. The dough is out. All you need to do is form into a round ball, and then you can ferment it. Like this. Okay, make sure you have enough flour on the table. So all you need to do is, can you see that the cranberry is pretty well spread across the dough? And that's what you want, all right? And all you need to do is to pull, make it into a round ball, further mixing it. Right now, if you form into a window pane test, you can more or less see it already. It's a very nice window pane, but you'll make it stronger by letting it rest and ferment for the first half an hour. So this recipe is designed for half an hour, so you can make it fairly quickly at home. Right, like this. You put inside here, and you can put inside a prover for half an hour, and I'll see you back in half an hour time. All right, okay, see you later. All right, so now we're going to divide everything into 50-gram pieces, right? We're going to make a little bun, okay, dinner bun. Set to 0. Are you ready? Let's do it. That's exactly 50. And what I'm going to do is going to leave it for rising for 15 minutes. All right. Depending on the temperature, if you're running in an aircon room, half an hour. If you have a prover like that, 15 minutes. I'm going to go average for about 15-20 minutes, right? Once it's doubled in size, I'll bake it. Okay, so I'll see you later after it's risen. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to bust the top. I want it to have a little shine, so I'm specifically using egg yolk and a little bit of double cream. Okay, you can use milk if you like, because I like a darker top, right? And to make it shine, use egg yolk. The very moment egg whites goes in, it will not shine as much. All right. So this is a egg wash solution like this. I just want to make it's actually more for decorative reasons, huh? Okay, so this one is ready. Oops. Okay, build up. This next one, we are going to do something called a cinnamon raisin or a cinnamon chocolate, and because what I call malt and chocolate. Now, because malt and cinnamon are very heavy, the aroma is very heavy, so we're not going to use panettone. We're going to use nausea. Nausea is a very high sour. I chose this because the sour is on the high side. Once you put in the what I call cinnamon and all this malt in, you're not going to smell it unless. You're not going to feel it unless you have something that's sour like nausea. So that's the reason why I choose it. So same recipe, again, same recipe. We're going to have milk. We're going to have my udon ready. And where's my powder? Yes, that's my German bread flour. 12%, I repeat, 12%. I got 500 grams prepared ready. All you need to do is dump it in before that. Not forget the egg. 1 egg. All right. Dump the flour in. Don't need to shift, nothing. Anyway, it's unbleached bread flour anyway. Okay, so I got a German bread flour done. Whoa, that was a special effect. Undone purposely. Alright, okay, so then after that we do angel yeast again. Right? And you know, very often when they do yeast, they have to put water, put sugar, put yeast, let it ferment for 10 minutes to check the yeast is alive. For angel yeast, it's alive. Okay, 1 sachet of it. It's about 10-11 grams. And the next thing you want to go in is your domino, which is your bread improver. And as mentioned earlier, how much bread improver? Follow the same as the weight of the yeast. That you will not go wrong. So this is also 10 grams. That's 9. That will be 10. Okay. So follow the weight of the yeast. Your bread improver should be all right. And then, of course, now the star of the show is called nausea, sour. This one is a much higher sour compared to the panettone. So it's actually for bread that is very heavy in the ingredients that you put in terms of smell. So how much you put in? You put in 25 grams as usual. So there's no need for you to put levain, ferment overnight and all this. All you need to do is just put in the powder. And we are done. That's 25 grams. Okay, so we got nausea in, and again, our salt at the side. What else? Milk powder, and that's it. Sugar and butter delayed. All right, so we put this in first. Let's start kneading it. This one will be the kneading time will be shorter because we are not going to knead in the what I call the raisins. We're just going to knead this first. Move it to the center so the camera can see it. Okay, just let it knead. And don't forget to put in the Yuden, right? You should try this trick at home. It's pretty useful. There's no timing whatsoever for you to throw in your Yuden. You just dump it in, right? The design is designed for you to just dump everything in. Again, you knead until it forms a dough before you dump in your sugar. The gluten forms, you dump in your butter. That's it. Very simple principle, right? So we're going to knead until it forms the gluten. We're going to stop there. That's it. I'm not dumping anything in. There's no resin, anything. We're going to put it outside later. I'll show you how to make the cinnamon sugars and all this later. Huh? Okay. We're slowing down the kneading. So because the gluten has formed very nicely, I'm going to put it aside so I can take it out. Very nice. Look at that, look at that. So strong, the gluten. So we're going to put into a ball, wink into a ball, and we're going to let it rise for half an hour. We're going to let it rise for half an hour before we do the final shaping, right? Okay, let's take out the dough. There we go. That's the dough. Don't waste anything. Again, see, it doesn't stick to the finger anymore. That means the gluten is formed. You check the window pane test. Beautiful, beautiful window pane test. Put into a little ball like this. Tuck it in. Get it ready for first rising for half an hour. Again, get a flat pan. You can, at home, you can just raise it over using your bowl, but this prover is a bit flat, so we've got to use a flat pan. All right, always make use of don't try and pull it off the table. All right, so we're going to leave it to proof for half an hour. Remember the second dough I made is for cinnamon and raisin. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do the recipe of cinnamon and chocolate powder yet. So the first thing is called cinnamon. We weigh it. We're going to use brown sugar. We're going to use brown sugar. And how much brown sugar? We're going to use 100 grams of brown sugar, right? Is it 100 grams? It is 100 grams of brown sugar.
Ask yourself a question, answer yourself.
No, I was asking the recipe. 100 grams of brown sugar like this. 10 grams of cinnamon powder, right? Yes, it is. That should be 10 grams. That's 10 grams. That's really 10 grams. Okay? And on the second bowl, let me teach you this. Also 100 grams of brown sugar. Let me introduce you Malt 110. This is a black malt powder. It smells, and the fragrance is very, very close to cocoa powder. Okay, very close. You can replace your cocoa powder. The only difference is much cheaper. Okay, and it has a roasty aroma, slight coffee tang. So you don't have to put coffee essence into your cocoa to make the fragrance out. Everything's inside there. And how much of it? 10 grams. When I'm going to make anything chocolate, I will use this. I hope you remember the last chocolate bread I made. In both of this, we put a pinch. Is it a pinch? Yes, a pinch. Nope, it's not a pinch, it's 2 grams. Let's put 2 grams of salt. Without salt, everything is going to be flat. And all we need to do is just mix it like this. Make sure the sugar and the malt is pretty well mixed, and you have a malt powder. And this one you mix with chocolate later. Huh? Okay, it's done. Cinnamon powder for the raisin, malt powder for the French dark chocolate. 50% cocoa, okay? Minimum 50% cocoa, okay? It's been half an hour. This thing is risen almost double in size already, so it's ready to do final shaping. It's a very simple recipe, direct method, except for the udon. Everything else is direct. There's no sponge. There is no other indirect method. We pour it out, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to divide into two doughs because we're going to make two different loaves. All right. So first of all, let's see how much this thing weighs, and we're going to divide it two. We're going to test your mathematics. 1,300 grams, and that will be half is 650 grams, right? Actually, I failed my math, but I think this one can do. And instead of making a ball, let it rise again, we're going to save you some time. So all you need to do is to turn it on its side like this, and it has a rough rectangular shape, right? Do we have a rolling pin? Yes, we do. You see? Now then I ask whether I got a rolling pin or not. Okay, so we're going to make these two into a rough rectangular shape, right? So first I need quite a bit of flour to prevent it from sticking, both over the bottom and the top. Okay, we're going to make it into a rough rectangular like this. Watch this. You know, some of you will make it into a ball again, let it rise again second time before you need it. So this one, go straight away, don't waste a lot of time. Because it's a pretty simple sweet dough, you know. It's called a sweet dough. Rectangular shape, like this. And you can see as you roll, it will try and bounce back. It will try and bounce back, right? So that means the gluten is resisting. You go to the next one, let it rest. Okay, it's ready. So now I'm going to have to decide. I'm going to make cinnamon, raisin. I'm going to make malt and chocolate. So cinnamon and raisin, don't mix it up. You mix it up, you just invented a new recipe, which I do not know what it's going to taste like. But to make sure that it sticks, I have here eggs and water. Okay, this is about the only thing that will guarantee that you will stick. Okay. Whoops, this is the egg white. Egg and water. This is just the glue, you know, just the glue, nothing else, just the glue. Okay, so this is the glue. It's just water and egg, the whole egg. Cinnamon powder with 100 grams of sugar. There's no exact sign to this. Just sprinkle it and spread it out. Okay, and we take the raisin, we spread the raisin out. This. You notice I didn't pre-soak the raisin. Because this way of application now, when you pre-soak the raisin, becomes very, very wet. And when you put it on there, you have patches of wetness. And it kind of does not look very pleasant on the bread later. How do you roll this? Very simple. You just need to pull, tighten it. Make sure that the rolling is tightening at the inside now. Okay, there we go. What do you do for the corner? You just need to tuck it in and seal it up. Seal it up, seal everything up, and let it sit there for about 10 minutes. Let me wash my hands, we'll do the other one. Coffee and cocoa goes very well nicely together. Well, when I put my hands in, the hands are still the best tools. I can still feel the lumpiness, I can break it up a little bit. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Then I put the French dark chocolate. This is not converter chocolate, now this is just dark chocolate for baking, that's all. So the next thing you do is, you roll it up. The rolling up, very important, it has to be tight. Tight. Okay, the chocolate will try and escape. Put them back. We don't accept escapees. Put it back. and then we seal it very nicely. Right? So what do you do at the end? You tuck it in. Then somebody asked me, so dirty how? I said, no, don't worry. Later after you shape it, you won't be dirty anymore. Because it's supposed to look dirty. And you roll it. When you cut a cross section, it's going to be, you're going to see rounds, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to do it this way. You slice it in half. You take a good serrated knife, you slice it in half, like this. See, just now you thought you put a lot of cinnamon, actually not much. The sugar has already melted. You slice it in half like this. You take your friendly scraper and you cut it directly into half. Okay? One piece is hanging at the bottom, the other piece is hanging on top. You take this piece, you put it across here, and then you pleat it like this. And the next best thing to do is to take the whole thing and put it into the pan. That's how you get the final shape at the top like this. You ready? Slice into half. Take our friend and then we just chop it into two pieces. We have a bottom piece, we have a top piece, and we pleat it. You pleat it. Take it and straight away you put it inside here. This gives a more uniform stretch spread, and you have something called the chocolate right on top, right? And if you want to do anything, you can kind of later you can put some nuts on top of your chocolate bread, and it kind of is gooey, it's sweet, you know, that's the kind of sweetness we want. So we're going to leave it to rise. I'm going to spray a little bit of this so it doesn't dry up. This one we're going to leave to rise for half an hour because it's a fairly big loaf, right? So we're going to leave it inside there to rise for half an hour. Look at the size of this thing. This is bigger, ma. So this is the time when you can either drizzle the chocolate one, another escapee, with peanut, or you can actually mix with some buckwheat, sprouted buckwheat. It's actually quite roasty also. Okay, that's it. This one leave it alone, don't disturb it. Wow. Here we go. So there we have it, our cranberry loaf, our cranberry buns with panettone, and of course this one is the beautiful cinnamon raisin and chocolate with malt 110. Okay, that's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, we will see you for the next recipe. In the meanwhile, go give it a shot. It's really soft. It's really soft. It's really soft. And it comes back up again. Can you see that? It comes all the way back up again. So that's how a bread is supposed to work. All right, I'll see you next week. This is Oliver from Biocreations.